Nick Maniatis is here. Nick is the director of the New Mexico Film Office. Joins us here at the big round table. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's bright and early.
Yeah.
Well, the movie biz gets up early, doesn't it?
Yeah, we get up very early. Yeah, we're there, or they stay up late. You know, they can start at 4 in the morning sometimes. So
They do.
Right.
Good to see you.
good to see you.
It's great to see you. So, tell us a little bit about what's happening with New Mexico Film.
Well, we've got a lot going on right now. We're very busy. So we've got probably 7 films on the ground and a television show shooting right now, Longmire up in Santa Fe. We've got a lot of folks shooting. We're hiring as much crew as we can, and we're running out of crew, and that's a good thing because we'll start building that crew base up again.
Great.
So we're doing very well.
Give us a number. How many people are being employed in the movie biz right now in New Mexico, roughly?
Yeah, so we have one large show that'll probably employ 400 or 500.
Wow.
And then we have a few smaller shows, but what TV show will employ 100, 200, 300. It depends on the day. And then when you talk about extras, you know, we had the Lone Ranger here last year, and I think they had 4,000 or 5,000 extras on that show. So it's quite a few people, and everyone's happy to be working right now.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the big misconceptions is a lot of people like, well, you don't employ a lot of people, but I see small businesses, extras.
You know, we had a film conference this past weekend, and one of the pushes that we were trying to do during that conference is getting local companies that aren't traditionally servicing the film and television area to come out and think about working in our industry. So we had, just for instance, we had a sewing company, and they had sewing machines that they were renting to the Lone Ranger, and they finally said, hey, you know, we have folks that can actually sew all this. That's part of what we do. Before you know it, they're doing all the sewing for the Lone Ranger. So and now they're showing up at our conference, and this is now a new market for them that they can go out and make more money.
That's great.
When a film shows up in New Mexico, they bring their principal key people, the director and the key crew members, but they need everything else, don't they?
Correct. They need everything from hotels to lumber. I mean, the lumber companies in our state have told me that during the recession, they wouldn't have made it without the film and television industry.
No kidding.
Yeah. And our industry orders a lot of lumber because they build sets, right? But they need everything else, yeah. And we're trying to get it so that even the key people that they need are here and are experienced enough to do the work.
Right. And so Governor Martinez recently signed some legislation helping New Mexico Film. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, last session there was a bill signed that, I'll just give you the highlights. There was a 5% bump for series television, meaning you have an order of 6 episodes, they're $50,000 or more. And I think that was done so that it would be long series or larger series that would be on either cable or network. And that, we like television because they spend a longer time here. They tend to spend more money in different ways. It gives our crew members the ability, if they go into a second season, maybe they were in a 3rd position, now they're in a 2nd, or 2nd to a 1st. So it makes our crew more experienced. We were at the set of Longmire, and a couple of the actors had said, yeah, we just put bids down on homes that we're going to buy homes here. And, you know, we don't capture that in our data. So when they're out buying a house or they buy artwork or things like that, we don't get to capture that when you look at our data. But I think it does well. They'll do well.
And that bill was coined the Breaking Bad bill because of its success, right?
Yeah, well, that was by the press.
Yeah.
but it did some other things. It allowed for a rollover. If we have unused amount in the cap, we have a $50 million rolling cap. For the next 3 years, we can roll over. And then in perpetuity, we can pay out debt because our payouts are tiered over 3 payments for larger ones, for larger payments. And we can now, if we have room in the cap, pay out in future years, which will alleviate space in those future years.
Now, I would imagine part of your job, Nick, is to help make it easy for them to do film business in New Mexico.
That's right.
To make it an easy, quick deal. What do you have to have from a production company before they can start shooting here?
Well, we usually get them when they're greenlit and ready to go. We talk to a lot of folks that aren't quite there yet. So when they're ready to to put their flag down and say we have an office and we're in pre-production, that's where we come in.
I see.
And our office, along with the Tax and Rev, will go and have a pre-production meeting with these productions, whether it's television or film. We'll talk to them about what you can flag, what you can't flag, as far as what you'll get the rebate on. We talk to them about kind of the ins and outs of working in New Mexico and how we can help them. We right from the beginning, we have a guy in our office, Don Gray, who's a locations manager, and he'll get the script and he'll break it down for locations so that when they come out to scout, they know where they're going and what they're looking for. And then when it gets to production, that's where we step in. Tax and Rev's great. We have our own film unit within Tax and Rev.
And they're cooperative.
They're great. They're
ready to help.
The major studios all came out for a meeting with our taxation and revenue department, and they said that it's the best tax and rev unit for them to deal with in the United States. Really.
Good to hear.
And Longmire, they're in their second season, is that right?
They're in their second season. They're doing very well.
And how many can you tell us a little bit about some films that we can look forward to coming to New Mexico?
Well, we just announced Signal yesterday. It's a smaller film, but it has Lawrence Fishburne in it. Oh. We're going to be announcing a project either today or tomorrow. So you have the scoop here, but it's a really interesting television series. It's more of an event series. But that's all I can tell you right now.
Oh, come on.
You'll be hearing about it.
It's really interesting, though. We're glad to have them here.
What network is going to? Can you announce the network that's going to have it?
I'm not sure that they know what network's going to be on that.
So it's just okay.
You'll see some familiar names. It has to do with space. How's that?
Nice. The Journal had a map the other day of all the productions going on in New Mexico. Now, some of them have wrapped, some of them are midway through. Yeah. Highlight a couple of those?
Well, you have The Homesman that Tommy Lee Jones is directing up north. They were in Las Vegas and a couple other areas, and I think they'll be in Santa Fe. And in his film is Meryl Streep, John Lithgow. We have Seth MacFarlane coming to shoot A Million Ways to Die.
Yeah.
And he has Sarah Silverman in his and a few other, I can't remember all of them.
Okay.
We have Forrest Whitaker's here shooting a show called Enemy Way, and they're going to wrap in the next month. Who else do we have? We have just quite a few names here. Well, Johnny Depp's back.
Yeah.
So we're happy about that. Hopefully, this is once every 2 years. We'll just make sure he gets over here. We'll see.
So that recent legislation was a big step for New Mexico film. What else are we doing to attract more film and also digital media companies?
Yeah, so emerging media companies, that's the next big push from our office. Getting this bill done was a big deal for us. But I'm going to either bring on or a contract with some folks. We want to be a presence in the emerging media market. So that's app creation, game creation, all that falls under the purview of my office and under the tax credit as well. So we just haven't been out pushing that, and that's the future. I mean, it really is. Digital media, I have two little kids, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they're going to have an iPad or something like that the rest of their lives. So that we need content for that, and we need to be in that business. So that's the next big push for us.
What do you see? Gaze in the crystal ball for a moment, Nick. Down the road, 5 years, 10 years, are we going to expand this program? Keep it where it is? What do you see the future?
Well, I don't get a vote.
Yeah.
But I see this program growing. I really do. I think, especially in the area of emerging media, if we can start kind of chipping off and making a name for ourselves in certain areas, there's so many of them, but we have the infrastructure here. We have great people. We have great editors. Some Sony ImageWorks folks stayed and started their own businesses, and I just see it growing. I really do.
I've always felt that one part of the film business that you really can't put a price tag on is the image that New Mexico gets, not only within the film community, but outside. The fact that these movies were shot here, and there's a cachet to that.
Larry, I totally agree, and I feel the same way. I don't know how you quantify it.
You can't.
But the fact that the Avengers, which at the time was going to be the highest grossing movie, and that was 90% of it was shot here. And there's a certain amount of pride to that, I think. I felt a certain amount of pride. And on top of that, to go even further, You know, it was a big get to get the Lone Ranger here because there's a film that really fits into our topography, and they use a lot. And we really want to push film tourism. So you'll be able, if you haven't seen Shiprock in some of those commercials yet, then you haven't been watching the commercials because it's prominent.
It's spectacular.
Yeah, and so we want to start pushing out. We're gonna kick off a film tourism program next month with the Department of Tourism. They've been very helpful to us. And we're going to try and show ways that this industry brings more money to the state than just traditionally hiring.